All right, guys, welcome back to Fort Mort in the Battalion. Today, I'm going to show you how I won my last Grand Arena. It works for all my Grand Arenas. I mean, there's different strategies for each time that you play. Each opponent is different, but with my 52-1 record, I think I've got something good going here, and I'd like to share the wealth. So you'll see right there, it just stacked up. Had a pretty easy win, farewell. Don't feel bad, buddy. I'm on a good streak, and I strategize pretty heavily. All right, so we'll start out how I look at my opponent. When I first find out who my opponent is, I go into here and hit event rewards. You can click here too, but I think it's more friendly this way, the way it works. And I'll find my opponent. The first thing I'll do is look at his stats. So looking at his stats, the first thing I see here, he's got 78 battles won and 28 defense. So it tells me that he likes to go offensive, which he played true in this one. As you saw, he didn't have a whole lot of beef on defense. He used most of it on offense. He didn't have a whole lot of battles. He's only got 6 promotions earned, so there was also the possibility he wasn't even going to attack. But he did. He's attacked every one of this Grand Arena, but in the past it appears he's just been a set and play. All right, the other thing I'll look at, you can look at these stats too if you know how to read them. I'm not going to go into depth with it, but 32 or 34 territories defeated. So that's basically each of the 4, how many he's completely wiped out, and then full rounds cleared. He's had everyone cleared, like a full clear I had today. So to see that, and then I'll compare that sometimes to my stats and see where it stands. But in his case, he didn't have a whole lot of stats. You'll see with mine, I got 359 and 196. I defend and keep some for offense. You can tell by that stat. You're always going to have defense because people aren't always going to clear you. But my thought process is if you've got more than 2 times your defense in offensive strikes, you're offensive, plain and simple. So if I would have been at 400 or more, I'm more likely to be offensive on offense. If I had 500 of that 200, definitely an offensive striker. Also, full rounds cleared 41, 191 in undersized battles. I use nests a lot at 29, and then their lifetime stats. Anyway, we'll move on to this. So I go back to farewell here, and I look at his inventory, and right away I write down what his teams are. And I know this is a little bit extra work, but it pays off for me. And I estimated who would be on his CLS team, who was on his PALP team, his BH, his Night Sister. He had an extra Sith team. This was a really weird lineup this guy had. GG and Ray Jedi Training. So he had 3 teams that were higher than mine, and it looked like it was going to, at first I was like, uh-oh, what am I getting into here? But then I realized that if I put my bugs on defense, he's going to be forced to play his best team, which I'm assuming he used Ray Jedi Training, but I could be wrong. So and that was one of the teams I was worried about beating. So if he put it on offense or on defense, then I was going to struggle getting through, but then he would be struggling to get through mine because he needed that team to get through mine. There's a possibility he took it out with CLS, but I'm not really sure about that. The other thing I do when I'm in here is I make sure that all the power is in order, and then I check through and I look at 3, 6, 9, 10 rows. So you've got 60 teams in my GA anyway. You got 30 on offense, 30 on defense. And I look at the top 60 and I see that his is 15-1. And the other thing I'll do is I'll go to speed and I will check his top 10 in speed. I'll also see, by looking here, who he focuses in. So by the looks of this, he definitely went for his CLS and his Jedi Ray training team. That's where he focused, with a little bit on his Sith. So I knew that RJT was definitely going to be the team that I needed to be worried about. Then I'll scroll down, again, 10 rows. There's 9, 10, and I see that his 60th speed was 167. Mine is 170. All right. So I know that we're comparable in speed. I know we're comparable in top 60 GP. It's not a perfect science, but the other thing I'll do, and I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but I go through and look at maybe his top 5 or so that I'm worried about. Like R2D2 at 273 is extremely fast, etc. So that's where I get and I plan out from there. All right, now we'll go to the map and we'll see how I plan this actual strategy. So when I went in, my first focus was, okay, I don't want him winning the top 2. So the top 2 right here score 180 points. As you see right here, you get 180, and here you got 150. So I want to trick him into going to the rear. So that ended up working. I put my top 2 defenders up top, 92 and 89, and I put the one bug team that I knew he'd take that RJT team after. I'm sorry, first order. Put it up top. So I misspoke, guys. Originally I was talking about my bugs being put up front. I took my first order and put them up front because they're my best team, and forced them to use their best to get through that wall. And then I threw a little bit of trickery, although I'm assuming he used a team that was a little bit higher than he needed to here. So I think he wasted a good team here, which worked out for me. I always put, almost always when I use this one strategy, I put the Night Sisters in the rear because they almost always clear 5 banners off of them. He had to use something really fast. Actually, I'm curious what he used. He might have actually used his Palpatine team, which is 102, so that would be a beautiful waste. Not 100% sure though, I would like to know. Then he used the rest of his teams up here and failed, so the plan worked out perfectly. And you'll see back here, I didn't put up a real good team back here. I mean, Newt's always a pest, but I was pretty confident that this is the way he was going to go because I steered him that way, if you guys get what I'm saying. All right, from my side of the board, he's got Padme, first order, both in the low 80s, and then a 91 Bounty Hunter, which I had to use a good team for that to make sure, and then 80,000 Night Sister. So he was smart putting the Night Sisters up, but I had a good counter with the troopers. That's another thing I do too, guys. Before I set my Night Sisters up, I look for troopers, which I failed to do that this time, so I'm curious if they had them. I don't think so. Right here, like I said, that's a great solo for Nest, so that worked out well because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to use my Nest solo even when I planned. And then the Phoenix team in the rear, so a fairly easy win. So again, guys, it's not too difficult to plan for this. Honestly, I probably spend too much time on planning for this, but I love Grand Arena. And I don't want to ruin my almost perfect record. I lost to, in 3v3, I lost to a boss team with a boss that absolutely refused to even get below protection. It was pretty annoying. I almost felt like I was being hacked, which is a possibility, but I'm not going to make that claim. I lost. It's fine. I just couldn't get through his rear wall, and he used, God, probably 40 teams, and he eventually full cleared me, but he used a lot of battles. All right. I think that's all I got for right now. One last thing I want to show you guys here. See if this transitioned over. So you'll see here, these are basically my planning and my tips for you guys to get through it. Research your opponent's squads and their fight history for an advantage, which I showed you. If they're greedy, take advantage of that greed by using some defense to stop them cold. And what I mean by that is, if they're very greedy, they want that full clear. They're going to go full out offensive and put garbage on defense. And that's kind of what this guy did. And by reading his stats, I knew that was a possibility. So I put some on D and forced him not to get that full clear. Check their top 60 on offense and on D, 30 on D, 30 on O. Search their speed where they invest. So I showed you that as well. Wait until they can attack, or wait to attack if you can. Like, the only day I can't wait is on Saturdays because I work the night shift. So as soon as I get off, I got to attack early in the morning. But I usually wait till the last 2 hours until before I attack. That way I know what they've already done. A few times I've had guys do the same thing and we were going at each other at the same time. That's a hell of a lot of fun. But it gives you an advantage because then you can plan how many points you need and what direction you need to go, how many points are possible in your tier. So in this case, without undersized, 1560 was my highest possible. So I knew exactly how much I needed to get in order to beat him. And that can come in handy sometimes in a close race. Nestor's a great solo, especially if you use Kira. I didn't need to today, or Farm Boy Luke for tenacity. Kira is a better lead, but if you don't have her, you can always use Farm Boy Luke and raise her tenacity. Night Sisters are used best on D unless there's a counter you absolutely are scared of. I've also got a great video on how to use the Night Sisters. It's awesome. It's a little lengthy, but boy, is it worth your watch. The nice part about Night Sisters is they don't hold protection when you hit them. Or the bad part about them is they don't hold protection. They lose their protection like right away because they get killed, they die. But the other nice part is your opponent doesn't hold protection either, so they're great on D. Unbeatable squads. If you've got someone that you are confident they cannot beat, don't be greedy and put them on offense. Put them on defense because you're going to win that GA. If you plan right. Put them on defense up front. Force them to one area, and then you only got to put one good team up, and then you can wipe them out. Of course, it's always a gutsy play, but if you're 100% sure they can't get past it, it's the way to play. Put solid mods or mid-tier mods on a mid-tier team like Phoenix or something like that, make them hard to beat. But a lot of people don't check for speed like this. So if you put it on a crappy Phoenix team, if you get Chopper and Harris speed way up, maybe even Ezra, they're going to be surprised by that and probably be taken out unless they use a really high team. Also, placing stronger teams in the rear, yes, sometimes that is it is a usable strategy. I actually did it last GA where I put a soft one up front and a strong one in the rear. Strong in the first area, semi in the second area, and then in the fourth area, bottom corner, bottom left, I put a really strong team, which basically stopped them up front. So that's another video. Mid-tier teams makes them think because they're stronger teams in the rear. So like this guy did with me, he put mid-tier teams, so he made me think he might have some real strong stuff in the rear. So it forced me to save some good teams. And then often they will use their best teams up front and find out afterwards that they can't beat you. I don't know why that got cut off. So anyway, that's the last of the tips, guys, for today. I hope you got something out of it. If you got any questions, please put a comment below. I'd be happy to answer that for you. I know it can be confusing getting this across, so appreciate it. You guys are awesome. If you'd like and subscribe here and join the battalion, and I appreciate y'all. You're awesome. Have a great day.
Shut up and sit down.